going to explain. Okay, hello. So if you were watching the first recording, I apologize. When I went into the breakout groups, it stopped recording. So kind of picking up where we left off. But essentially, um, I was going to say that this button here is jokingly the atomic bomb because it's the end breakout groups. So that ends everyone's breakout groups, not just yours, but everyone's. So don't press that if you're working in a situation like the daily drop-in where we might have 5 breakout groups and everyone's working, and then boom, Brian's like, this is a fun button, and then boom, everyone magically ends up in the main room and everyone is upset and they're like, what the heck happened? Yes, Rosie.
Is it similar to Zoom where it gives you like a countdown, or does
Nope.
it just, okay. Good
Nope,
to know.
it is much much more ruthless than Zoom, and you do not get any countdown. It's just like boom, you are going to the main, group whether you like it or not. Good question. Again, here are those shortcuts to join other groups, which we talked about. That's not something you have to do very often. Again, for those of you not watching this live, hopefully, I'm trying to think, like, was it still recording when I got to this point explaining the setup? Do either of you remember?
I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was recording when you said the setup. It was just when we moved that it stopped.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
right,
think
right.
it was just when we moved that it stopped.
Okay, perfect. So essentially, we can rename. Again, you have to hit update, right? If I wanted to call this hello update, that will change the name, and everyone will be able to see that change. So let's, we can go to hello group, and to move people to hello, again, we can either drag and drop, which I don't advise. Just click on the 3 dots and then move yourself into whichever group or your students accordingly. We do not allow attendees to switch, right? Because again, if hello, um, there is, the chance that they'll be like, oh, I want to see what this person's doing, or maybe they have a friend in the session. Again, very unlikely, but just to avoid all of that, we do not allow the attendees or the participants and presenters to willingly switch groups. A lot of people ask me, oh, what if I have students in different classes, like, for me in my language classes, or Rosie and, ASL, like I have a beginner and, someone intermediate. You can feasibly keep them together, but if they don't seem comfortable with that, or you're not comfortable with that, you could put them in breakout rooms and just explain, like, okay, I'm going to go work with so-and-so for 10 or 15 minutes. I want you to work on this in the meantime, right? Boom, then you bounce back. Transparent Brian, I don't like doing that. I like to keep them together. It's just easier. It's more concise. I just say, hey, we're going to kind of go round table, and then, no one seems to be very adamant, about like, no, I want to be in my own breakout group because, they're in a different class than I am, different professor, different level, whatever the case may be. That, for me, in my experience, that's never an issue. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, like I said, just like the chat, you want to treat the breakout groups very cautiously, because again, you don't want to be intruding on someone's, session, with the screen share, carrying over, overtaking, etc. We don't want to close our flyer out on accident. So again, there's a lot of buttons, and again, fundamentally, it's pretty simple. But when you're actually live and doing it, and there's all the, people for the first time, it can be a little overwhelming, and it's okay. Obviously, again, if you make a mistake, but like I said, just kind of take your time, be patient, and that should be, that should not be a problem or issue for you. Any questions, Rosie or Tyler, about breakout groups and how to use them or why we use them in tutoring? Okay, Rosie's shaking her head no, and I assume Tyler is also shaking his head no.
You're correct. I am.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, so that pretty much leaves us just with the last bit here, which is just our settings. Again, it's encouraged, it's not necessary, but if you want to add an icon like I have here, just so they can see you when you're not on camera, you know, and they can just kind of put a face to your name and your voice. Obviously, we strive to go on camera if possible, but hey, that's one way of showing them what you look like. Audio and video settings, again, that would just be right under here. The number we talked about earlier that can be found at the top left is also right here. Your speaker volume, and the notification settings, we don't touch this. So this is when someone joins and when someone leaves, it'll make a noise. It'll say so-and-so joined the session or so-and-so left the session. But essentially, depending on whatever, what do you call it? Whatever browser, so again, Google Chrome, like if you're not even in Google Chrome, I want to say, it'll be on your desktop. So if like you're in your email or you're in something else and you just want to make sure that, hey, like, do I know if a student's coming or going? That would be your way. So we don't change these settings ever, because otherwise we might, you're not just going to stare at the screen for an hour or three waiting for students to come. You're obviously going to work on other things. So these notifications with the audio and visual are our aids to make sure, oh, okay, someone just joined or someone just left, and can stay on top of it. But something that I probably wanted to emphasize a little more is just being aware of, where everyone is at, including your coworkers, because we've had people go MIA and we're like, hello, like, are you still there? Netflix. And we don't want that, right? Because there's going to be students and they're, some of them are going to be really antsy and anxious, and they're looking for a particular tutor or a particular subject. And if that person is just like MIA and we haven't communicated with them, and we just have to be like, we have to have our plan B. So just be, again, on top of the chat and making sure you know what's going on and where everyone is. Like I said, with the breakout groups, we don't want other people to be the ones to kind of pick up the slack, if that makes sense. I totally forgot to show another important option, which is the away option. So if you ever need to take a break for food, bathroom, just need to walk away from the computer 5-10 minutes, all we ask is if you are, again, with other tutors, just in the moderator chat, say, hey, I'm going to take a quick break, go, lunch, blah, 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 5-10, maybe even 15 minutes. Say that in the chat, and then press the away button. And then in the attendee tab, you'll see that my status goes, my little icon becomes yellow, and it will say away. Okay. And it will also automatically mute your mic and cam, which is nice, right? So sometimes you want to mute both at once. Again, maybe someone's screaming in the background. You're like, yeah, not today. And then you just go away, and that way that will mute both of those instantaneously. But just know that when you come back, like I just did, right, it automatically turns them back on again. So make sure you are ready when you are ready to come back. And then as you saw, it was yellow with a little clock. And then when I'm not sharing my screen, if you or a student were to put their mouse over the icon, it would say away. And so they'd be like, okay, right, they're whatever away means, but they'll know that you're not here, at least virtually. Which also was another point I wanted to make with the breakout groups, was that when you make the breakout group, Rosie and Tyler, as you saw, it's like, it's the same as you know, right? It's just you're in a different virtual space. So some people get a little confused, or like, did I even move? Where am I? So just be, cautious. You're like looking at like, okay, Brian is in the main room, and so is in Brian's group, so and so is in group 4, so on and so forth. Again, thank you so much for your patience, and sorry that the recording cut off. Yeah, session settings, again, don't really need to change anything here. That's all pretty much, this would be in the case of an emergency, right? Like, oh my gosh, we have people showing things that they should not be showing, or things they should not be saying, right? We can instantly revoke that here. There's another way to do this as well, but like I said, we haven't had to do that ever since that incident. So we allow everyone write on the whiteboard, post chat messages, share the video, share their audio, etc. Again, first, last name, and your role. And I think that's pretty much it. If I hit X here, this will just simply make the screen, the full screen, and it will get rid of everything else. So to open that back up, you'll just press that purple. Yes, Rosie.
I'm sorry if you said this earlier, but can you like mute or turn off one person's camera or audio, or is it everyone?
So you can't mute people's
Sorry.
you can't mute people's videos. Like, you can't turn them off unless, of course, again, you go into the settings and then you completely revoke them from coming on to begin with. But you can mute people individually in the attendee tab. Again, it's not like a permanent thing, so they can technically just go right back on mic and start screaming. But again, most students will get the hint, and it will say you have been muted, or a moderator muted you, or something. I feel like back in the day, it used to say the name of the person that muted you, and I did not like that, because it's like, oh, but I might be making that up. But I know for sure nowadays it will just say, you have been muted, or a moderator muted you, and then they'll get the message, and hopefully they won't go on mic and be, whatever, inappropriate. But yes, good question. Okay, thank you so much for your patience. I think that pretty much does it. Does anyone have any questions or concerns that may be, helpful for anyone watching the recording before I stop the recording? It could be tutoring related. Again, I've been doing this a long time. I've done a little bit of everything, more or less. So if you ever need to reach out to someone, besides, Sandy, Jen, Kelly, and Linda, our full-time staff, I'm another good option that might be able to help you with something. Okay, well, I will go ahead and thank those who were able to come earlier. Those who have not been able to come at all, that's okay. Just reach out to me if you have any questions or concerns. Thank you for your patience watching these cringy training videos. But have a good night and take care. I will hear from you soon. Bye-bye.